So, welcome to another episode of the Doctors Building Wealth podcast. Today, Kenji and I have such a treat for you. We have some of our best friends here and also business owners, and they've been with us since the beginning of Semi-Retired MD and have made such a difference in our lives and guiding us through this process of building this business. So, we have Dr. Bonnie Koo, Dr. Sunny Smith, and Dr. Peter Kim. Hi, guys. Maybe we'll start with Peter. Can you introduce yourselves to everybody and tell them a little bit about who you are?
Sure. Hey, everyone out there listening. This is Peter Kim. I'm the founder and creator of a brand called Passive Income MD. This is, again, I'm an anesthesiologist by training. I live in Southern California, and I love talking about multiple streams of income.
My name is Dr. Sunny Smith. I'm a family physician by training, and I am the founder and CEO of a company called Empowering Women Physicians. And we are arguably the largest or most comprehensive collaborative coaching program for women physicians. And we have the most impactful or effective physician wellness data that exists. So it's an incredibly meaningful line of work to support other physicians in this business.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bonnie Koo. I am a dermatologist by training, and my business is called Wealthy Mom MD, and my coaching programs basically help predominantly women physicians to work on their, money and really help them start living the life they want now versus waiting for the money to come in before they can do that.
Hi, everyone. I'm Leiti, and this is Kenji, and we're both hospitalist physicians by training, and we run Semi-Retired MD, and we train physicians how to create a source of income by using rental real estate, both long-term rentals and short-term rentals, to be able to build lives they love. Okay, guys, I wanted to start out with our origin story. So I don't know if there's anyone who wants to start and kind of tell your version of what happened, and then maybe we can go around and add in the things that we remember about the experience.
How'd it happen for me? Well, I said, I think I had heard of Bonnie before. I think one by one. I think I'll just what I remember. I'll tell you of how I met each person here. Leiti and Kenji. I just remember. I think I remember an email that came in one day from. It might have been Kenji or I don't remember. Just wanting to connect with me online. At that time, I was a few years into Passive Income MD, and I remember somebody. I should bring that email up. That'd be cool. I bet you it's somewhere I could search that. And it talks about how you guys are interested in investing in real estate, or you've been investing in real estate. You wanted to share your story or something to that effect, and wanted to connect. And so I remember thinking that. You guys are living in Hawaii at the time. Somehow the conversation came up that you guys were in Hawaii. I was going to be in Hawaii in a month or two or whatever it was. And I said, we should get together. And we did. Somehow we made it happen. I don't know. I was on vacation with my family. And usually on those vacations, kind of hectic and crazy. But you guys, we all happened to be on the same island of Hawaii. And you guys joined me, my wife. It was the four of us. And we just had acai bowl. You guys brought me some acai bowls. I still remember that. Sitting there at Turtle Bay up in North Shore. And we just talked about life, about business, about real estate, all of these things, and about what you guys were hoping to build at that time. And I got really excited by it. And again, one thing led to another. And you guys said, hey, you should, we're coming to LA. Ultimately, again, the conversation is probably longer, but we're coming to LA in a couple months for a Tony Robbins event. And, you should come with us. And I remember thinking, absolutely not. That's not something I'm interested in at all. Something happened a couple of days before. And I said, you know what? I should do this. And I showed up at this event, hung out with you guys. And I don't know Bonnie, how did you hear that we were coming to this event? At least I was going. I don't know how you heard that, but you're like, I have this other friend that's going. She's my
Sunny,
coach.
right?
Yeah. I think you're like, this is my coach or something like that. I remember her name is Sunny Smith. You should try to meet up with her. And so I still remember, I was like, yeah, we should connect. And you connected us through that. That's where I met Sunny. I had met you already, Bonnie, because we had been to some, events together, I think in the financial blogging world. And then we took a picture together. You remember that, guys? You guys remember we took a picture together?
Oh, we'll have to put it up. We'll have to put it up for this video.
We acted all silly and crazy in front of this like firewalker sign. And then I felt like that's when, Bonnie, you weren't there in person, but you were there in spirit because we talked about you a lot, all good things. But it was all of us together. And that's kind of where everything started. I mean, maybe you guys can add some color to that because that's what my memory is not always the best. So what do you guys remember?
Well, I remember actually meeting Bonnie first, because Bonnie reached out to me and asked if we would be willing to do a guest post for her. And we were talking about real estate. And so that's how that whole relationship with Bonnie started when we were still in Hawaii. And then for you, Peter, Kenji was like online and he was like, oh, I think this guy, Peter, he's just really cool. Like I could just sense his vibe. He's just like, he's not like a lot of the other ones. Like he's just very, very approachable. Like maybe I'm going to reach out to him. Right. And so you reached out to Peter, right?
That's right. Yeah. I emailed him. And like you said, you could probably pull up that email. And yeah. And then just so happened, we just met up a couple months later is what I remember as well. So yeah, your recollection's pretty good. That's pretty much what I remember as well. Not much more than that.
Yeah. And I think Sunny, we met at UPW through Bonnie, just connecting us all. I think Bonnie wrote to Peter to find Sunny, and Peter was like, hey, we got to go find this person, Sunny. And Peter, we invited you. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up is like, we invited you to a random conference and you said yes. And I think that you see that a lot of themes of just saying yes, how it can bring up so many cool opportunities in relationships. So maybe Sunny?
Yeah, and Sunny, I think you said yes as well, right? But your story there, getting there was kind of a big deal. There was a lot going on for you.
Yeah. So, I mean, as I entered into the circle in that I was doing physician wellness coaching, right? And Bonnie had reached out and I was her coach at the time. And I had gone to an Orange County Women in Medicine event. I mean, it was a normal CME type event. And the initial people who were there that were on the stage said, what's your advice for people for women physicians who want to get ahead? And the first person, they were all leaders. The first person was like, get a coach. And I was like, what? I'm sitting in the audience, like a new coach. How are these women physicians like saying, get a coach? Like, I feel like such a, outsider because nobody was talking about coaching, I thought at that time. And then the second person said, get a coach. And then the third person said, get a coach. I was like, what the hell is happening? And then someone from the audience got up and said, how would I find a coach? And so I went up to the mic and I was like, I'm a coach. And so anyway, this is how I ended up at the Tony Robbins event, because then someone who was in the audience came up to me and she said, you're a coach. Do you follow Tony Robbins? You have to go to his stuff. He has this event coming up. It'll change your life. It changed my life. It saved my marriage. Like, it's life-changing. You have to go. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I'd known of one set of coaching skills and tools, and they were incredibly effective for me and my clients. But I was like, I don't know about that. I just had suspicion. And so notice the story is like, Peter was like, I don't know. No, that's not for me. Right? Like that thought at first, that's not for me. That's not who I am. I'm a traditional physician, right? I was an academic physician. And so in particular, because it was match day, like literally match day, exactly match day. And so since I was a formal medical student advisor and an academic community director, it was my job to be at match day and to stand with my students when they opened their envelopes, celebrate with their families, the news comes, all this stuff. And so this woman kept texting me, telling me I had to go. And I was like, who is this crazy stranger? And why does she keep telling me I have to go to some big event in Los Angeles? I lived in San Diego. And so then Peter Kim texts me and says, hey, I hear you know Bonnie. And he texted me a picture of himself. And he said, I'm here in Los Angeles. This is what I look like. Come and meet me. And I was like, well, okay. So that was the day before match day. So I drove up there. We sort of met each other, like said hellos. There was a firewalker event that turned out, went into like 2:00 in the morning. And the whole time, all I'm thinking while people are chanting is, what the hell is happening here? Have I gone into a cult? What is this? It feels insane the first time. And I was like, I need to get back to match day. Like, I can't just stay here and chant and wait to walk on fire. So I left, and, it was the middle of the night when I was driving home. I went to match day. I had to decide if I was going to go back. I took pictures with my students. That was March 2019. So this ended up the crew that, sort of moving forward were COVID residents and all of this stuff. But I had to decide whether I would go back or not. And there were some people still scrambling that day. And so in the end, I got another text message from you guys and I was like, all right, I mean, what's the difference? Nobody's really working today anyway, after match day. So I went back and I remember taking calls about scrambling people from the LA Convention Center and then going in and being back in the cult. And then But the truth is, and I didn't think we had that much in common, honestly. Like, I was very skeptical. I was like, these are physician finance people. I run a free clinic. Like, I'm the opposite of finance. And then we went to lunch, Kenji and Letty, and we sat together and I saw, oh, you're approaching physician finance through a different lens. Through financial freedom, you get to choose how you spend your life. And that is what matters. That's what we were all trying to get at, was like how Bonnie said, she teaches women physicians to live the lives they want now and not wait till they hit a financial independence number. And Peter also, passive income so that people could do what they want and not wait for a certain time. And you also taught people to leverage that. And I thought I would never do any of that finance stuff. I would never do real estate. I would never. And then I just think we all saw we had a lot more in common than I think any of us ever would have anticipated. And it was a very transformational weekend. I think we all left changed and all left connected to each other in a very unique way. And Bonnie was the ultimate connector for all of us.
Right. And so I really want to highlight that. Bonnie, you're the person who went and found each of us separately.
Yes.
So how did you do that? So if people want to know, like, how do you bring together groups? How did you go and find each of us?
That's a good question. I want to say a little bit about how Sunny said like she was skeptical, because I did like a personal development conference when I was like 23, and I heard about it through a friend and I thought she was crazy. So it's like you hear like the similar theme. I was like, she's nuts. It was right after 9/11. I was living in New York City. And the reason why I ended up doing it was not because I thought what she said was sound. It was because I was studying for the MCAT. She said, you're going to get a higher score if you do this.
I'm in.
Sign me up.
I want to do dermatology. I'm going to need all the help I can get.
So it's just funny how that's what got me in. And that's one of the and I say that because when I saw that Sunny was offering coaching in a Facebook group, I didn't have to be sold on coaching. I already knew what it was. And I also knew that it wasn't like cheap if you wanted your own coach. So when she was offering free coaching, I was like, holy cow. Basically, I was like, yes, I'm going to do this. Like, I can't believe it's free, because I remember wanting to hire someone when I was in my 20s and it was just cost prohibitive for me at the time. So that's how Sunny and I met. And then I think I met Peter before, because we were in the financial blogging world. I think we met in person at the first White Coat Investor, and you were just coming out, I think, around then. Because I knew who you were enough to meet you versus like, I don't know who Passive Income MD was, right?
Can we clarify that? That means
right.
Okay, just clarify a little. I mean, there's nothing wrong. I'm just saying. But
you revealed your identity.
I was anonymous on the blog,
identity.
and I was revealing my identity on it, right? Okay.
And I want to say, Peter, just for a second, I want to put in, because again, I ran a free clinic. And so the fact that you were so humble that you wanted to help other physicians and were anonymously helping other physicians as Passive Income MD, and it wasn't about your ego, it wasn't about you, and only after a long period of time of helping people, you went through that transformation and deciding to put your name out there and deciding to come forward with who you were, that actually meant a lot to me. It was endearing. It told me something about your character. And so I think when people are looking for other people and how do you know who's a good character, it's what you do when people don't know who you are and people aren't watching, that tells a lot about you and your values. And so I knew kind of right away that this was going to be a safe space to be in. So go ahead, Bonnie, with your story.
Yeah. And then we met again at another conference, FinCon, and I forget what year that was. And that's actually when we had a conversation that I mentioned all the time to people. Is I think it was around the time when I was like, do I keep doing this blog? Like, it was kind of fun. It was making, a few $1,000s. Like, that was like cute, right? And then I was like, should I do this business? And I was working with Sunny at the time. And that's when you said go big or go home. And you didn't say it like in a like mean way or whatever, or provocative. You were just like, just make a decision, go big or go home. And it was just very matter of fact the way you said it. And I was like, I don't know. And then that's when I decided with Sunny to pursue it. And then with Leti and Kenji, I do remember you writing me a guest post. So the question is, how did I must have heard about your blog somehow. I don't remember. What I do remember is being on my bed in Philadelphia and us having our first phone conversation. I forget what year, but I remember where I was, which is kind of random, right?
And I do too. I remember I was
oh my gosh.
Yeah, talking to Bonnie because she was such a big name. She was Miss Bonnie. And I was like so excited like to get to talk to her. It was really like pivotal for me. I mean, it was a big deal.
Yeah, I think this was before. before, you had courses and stuff, the blog was just a blog. I don't know what your origin story is in terms of how your blog started. So I think I met all of you around the same time. And yeah, I do remember telling you all like, oh, Sunny will be there. And I think I remember saying like she's really tall. So that might help find her, because obviously there's thousands of people at this conference, right? So
yeah, that was 2018 when we all met you. And then 2019, we met each other.
Yeah, somehow we all ended up on a text thread together at that time. I think that's how.
After this event, then we decided that like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, we decided to call ourselves the Power Group. If we're being transparent, I don't know where that came from. I have no idea.
I think it was me.
This name. See, there you go. It's Bonnie. There's always a ringleader.
Well, you can name a group chat, and I thought, Leash, we should just have a name.
Yeah.
I want to
notice Bonnie was the ringleader the whole time of everything. She met us all individually. She put together the text thread. She gave it a name that she remembers. Right.
Yep. Yeah. And I want to point out also how each of us, just by saying something along the journey, has like totally transformed what the other person did. Because, Peter transformed what Bonnie did, but Bonnie was the person who brought courses to us and said, hey, you should do a course. I'm doing a course. Right. And so that totally changed what we were doing, because we had met Sunny. We thought we were going to do a coaching program. And then Bonnie said a course and we changed. So it's so.
And I'm the one who taught Bonnie how to do courses. Because I had become a coach. And then I had also, one of my coach friends had said, hey, have you heard of James Wedmore? He has this program called Business by Design. I went and did that. And so I was like, hey, he has this program called Monetize Before You Make It. I asked him, can I share it with my client Bonnie? Because I think she could make a course and teach women physicians this. And so like the interweb, or like cross-pollination of people who have similar interests. It's like, this is what I'm doing. What are you doing? This is how can we make this better? How can we all help each other out? Right. And even though you're all in the financial space, none of you were like, well, someone might sign up for Bonnie's course and not mine, or Peter's and not mine. Right. There was none of that. In fact, I have to say, if we put together a list of people who've been in all of our programs, that list would not be small. Right.
Yeah. There's definitely like a Venn diagram where they all overlap.
Yes. But I think that's one thing that's beautiful, is none of us feel significant competition with the other people. We're like always truly trying to help the other people and know that there's not a fixed pie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people should know that we get together and actually are pretty transparent about our businesses. We share a lot of the challenges, and struggles of the business, particularly obviously our successes. But we're all like, every time we meet, we're trying to share what's working well, and some of the challenges where we have. And the cool thing is we all are getting our information not actually from the same place. Like, you guys have done Keith Cunningham, you guys done all this, like you guys are going to your own masterminds, and everybody's doing their own masterminds. Some of the things we do together, but a lot of things we're doing is we're all pursuing our own education on our own. And then we're bringing it back to everyone else, and like kind of condensing it down and giving the best of, which I think has been like a really fun part, is everybody's contributing to everybody's education and helping each other. So I know I've learned a lot from you guys.
I mean, Peter, even because I'm like a little disorganized. And so Peter even told me who his CEO was, or his COO, is fractional COO. And we shared a COO for like 6 months. I mean, she got so much organization and structure in my business. She really did. I mean, I went from like a one-woman show with one VA to a company with that woman. And I learned about culture and fit, and she wasn't the right culture fit for me. But, I learned a lot, because like when you're saying we help each other, like we really, really help each other. And we really do go into very different spaces we all invest significantly in personal development and coaching and business support, and with very different spaces, and, whether we want value alignment or whether we're looking for a certain goal or result. And then we really do try and help each other and teach each other.
Yeah, I was thinking about what, allows this group to be such a really great group. And part of it is a growth mindset, and then also the mindset work that we're all doing. And so if we can talk about some specific examples where somebody went and learned something or grew and was able to help you with your business.
Well, I think Sunny was the one who introduced the idea of doing a course. Like that would have never entered my mind. And you were the one who said, you can sell it before you make it. And I was like, that's crazy. But that doesn't mean you don't have a plan, right? You got to like know what to sell. You can't just be like, I'm doing something, buy it, right? You have to. So I remember like I planned it all out. But So that was definitely facilitated by you. And I guess, Lady and Kendra were like, oh, we should do a course too. Like, I don't remember exactly that conversation, but I think we would just talk about like what we're doing, what we're up to. And if it sounded interesting, like, oh, tell me more about that. What are you doing? How did you learn how to do this? Like in the beginning, like we were all like beginners in online business. And I felt like we were all sponges. I feel like we are still sponges. The difference is that now we just have a lot more knowledge and experience under our belts. But like I did the sales page copywriting course just recently, and then I'm working with the same coach for email copy. And so I'll definitely share what I've been learning. Like she's so good. And so we're always taking we're always in some kind of like business, whether it's a coaching program or to learn a specific skill, like, copy. And then we could always bring that to the group.
Yeah, I was wondering where the membership site came from, because I think at least a couple of us have done membership sites, and that's been a significant impact on our business. So
It was
do you guys
Bonnie.
remember? Was that Bonnie again?
It was
Okay.
Stu McLaren. Bonnie discovered.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. I ended up
Bonnie's
not-
usually the one that goes out there
Right.
first, like meets all the right resources, tries it out, tells us all about it, and then many of us then will try it. I feel like Bonnie's the first one always. I don't
Well,
know.
and then what
She's
she
great.
does, literally, and then she becomes everyone's case study, right? She became like Amy Porterfield's case study, Stu McLaren's case study. Like she's, I met Stu, who teaches about memberships, at James's event, that one that I had told Bonnie about. But again, when Bonnie, like a lot of people hear about things, but I think what's remarkable and exceptional about everyone in this group is we don't just hear about things. We enroll in things and attend things and listen to things with the intent to take action. And so
Yes.
whether she goes in with the intention or not, she's like, I'm going to be everyone's star student. I'm going to be a testimonial because I'm going to apply this work. Otherwise, why did I enroll in the program? Like, well, if you don't want the result, don't enroll in the program. Don't waste the thousands of dollars. And so I just think that that's it's a characteristic, right? That is, it's no accident, and it's replicable.
Yeah.
And I think the same with each one of the people here.
That's what I was going to say. Like we all take action on things that we've learned. We're not just like sitting around, I think I learned from you, Peter. Like I saw you give a talk and I say it over and over again. Like, a lot of us think knowledge equals power, but it's knowledge plus action equals power. I use that line all the time because it's so true, right? Like, and I think,
I made that
since
up,
most-
guys. I made that. I made
You
that
made that up?
Oh,
So it is a
Tony
Peter
That just
thing.
Robbins.
it came to me in my
Tony.
sleep, but I made that up. Just want to let you know.
No,
Yeah.
but that's it's
Tony
it's
learned
so
it from
true.
Peter.
Yeah.
And
But I think
as-
that sorry. I was just going to
Sorry.
say that I think that what another thing that I got from Peter that's a saying is like, what if it's the third time that it works out? He said that in real estate to one of my clients, who is also one of your clients, as well. But it's knowing knowledge plus action equals power. And then knowing it's probably going to be the third time that you actually get it right. It gets you out of the perfectionism and trying to get it right the first time. Because it's like you have to experiment the first time and the second time to have enough experience under your belt to get it right the third time.
Yeah, I got to say, Peter is, in my opinion, like an incredible salesperson. Like when I watch his webinars, like I'm like, oh my God, I got to learn from Peter. I want to be like Peter when I grow up, right? So like each of us have built skills in certain areas and that we can model off of each other. And it's just so great to be able to learn from watching you guys kick ass in your businesses too. Like the actual
I think
practice of it.
it's that we actually care though. Like, because if you think of Peter, when you say he's a good salesperson, I don't even think of Peter as a good salesperson per se. What I say is like, he cares about people.
Mm-hmm.
He's everyone's best friend. He genuinely likes them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I genuinely like Peter, and all of you do as well. So there's like that, it's not transactional, it's relational. And having a real relationship with people really matters because, they'll forget what you say and did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. It's Maya Angelou.
Well,
right?
a good example of that is I was just at my 15-year med school reunion, which kind of blew my mind. It's like, it's been 15 years. And I was telling them, we were all just, talking about money because they were asking me what I was doing. And we were talking about real estate. And I mentioned your name. I told them about the conference. And then my friend Jessica, who I introduced to you when she took your syndication course, she's like, oh my God, I love Peter. I got to go. I got to meet him. I can't wait to hang out with him. And I feel like people say that a lot about you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Well, by the way, Bonnie came over to my house recently and I brought her to a little picnic. We were having a little picnic outside for the neighborhood people. And then I was introducing her. And then somebody's like, wait a minute, you're Bonnie Koo? Like, I've read your book, I've done this. And it's amazing to see the influence of like, I didn't even know
Right.
my neighbor. Like, again, I never talked about Bonnie to my neighbor who happens to be a physician, but it's just really cool to see the impact that all of you have made. All your names come up when I talk to people in the space, whether they're in real estate or not. Just kind of influencing, the influence that you've had on them has been amazing. And I will say all of you have had an influence on me, obviously in so many different ways, but one of the biggest ways is definitely like how much you guys are all willing to invest in yourselves, like the whole education aspect, learning more, masterminds, coaches. You're not just telling people and creating these things for other people, you're doing it yourself too. And so the amount of like, you've stretched my mind to like I'd say what's like possible in that sense. What is reasonable, I guess, in a sense, like being in my world, I'm like, oh, I don't want to pay that much, because I'm more worried about the cost versus the benefit, right? The cost versus the return on the investment. And what you guys have really taught me is that it's not about how much you spend on it, it's what you get out of it in terms of value. And you're able to now I'm able to see these things in terms of that light. It's not like, oh, how much I'm going to spend, it's more like, what am I going to get out of this? And like, so now obviously Latino, I mean, we're all spending significant amounts of money on our own education, masterminds, coaching, all of it, but it's created amazing returns for all of us. And I think we can all probably say the return on investment has been like, not small, but humongous, right? And so that wouldn't have been possible if I hadn't seen each of you kind of invest in yourselves. And that's allowed me to do that for sure.
And that, like, when I was doing this at first, I was the literal only physician I knew doing this, right? Like my initial coach training was $18,000 and everyone thought I was completely insane. And then once I got around people who really, again, invested in themselves in this work, and whether it's a training, a certificate, a program, a course, and then I had just decided from the get-go, like from the jump, I had heard, because I'd read Grant Cardone's book, 10X. I just decided, I'm like, I get 10X out of everything. And my first offer to Bonnie was, I guarantee you'll 10X your money. So pay me this and I guarantee 10X your money or I'll give it back. And so I just had that thought for myself and I still have it. And I know it seems extreme. And like, there's another book coming out soon that's called 10X is easier than 2X, because you have to, it's Benjamin Hardy, the guy who wrote The Gap in the Gain, good book for everybody to read. But really, even if you decided ahead of time, you were going to 2X, or 3X or 5X, like there isn't Peter's Passive Income MD. I mean, I give him hundreds of thousands of dollars for syndications. I'm not expecting 2X or 3X or 5X or 10X, right? So I do think it's been helpful to see other physicians doing this too. And again, not at all to be self-serving or salesy. My life, as you all know, I'm going through a really hard time right now. My life is so much better. My mind is so much better. My ability to cope is so much better. My perspective is so much better by purposely surrounding myself with people who think that our life experience matters. Because let me tell you, physicians are not accustomed to thinking that their experience of this life matters. They just sacrifice themselves and sacrifice themselves and sacrifice themselves. And it's like, what if all these rules were made up? And what if you didn't have to play by their rules? What rules would you play by? And so I think the people who immerse themselves in mindset work start to realize we really can make up our own rules, and we can still work as physicians, or we can work part-time, or we can do all these other things, but like we really do get to play by our terms.
Wow. It's one of the best things is that we get free coaching from Sunny.
Yeah.
I mean, you're already doing this, but I'm just saying, when you talk about ROI, there is a literal, you can look at my, whatever social security statements or whatever, there is a literal ROI, but what's more important, and you guys know that I'm like speaking my absolute truth here, because money solves problems that money can solve. And then you're left with the real work, which is like, what is this life really about? And what is your experience of this life? So let's get everybody who's listening, because you guys are financial people. So let's all get them to the point where they know they have enough money, that money's not a worry anymore. And then again, what are you really doing with this life? It's a profound place to be and reflect on.
It is. So let's talk about going forward. I think we've talked a lot about the past and like what made us such a good fit for each other in terms of mindset and how we've been kind of going so far. Going forward, what kind of things would you like to see changed or added about what we're doing now, just for people to be able to model like, okay, I see how they got together. I see how it's worked so far. What do you want for the future?
One thing I realized, right, is because peer masterminds, I think there's pros and cons, right? It's very easy for a peer mastermind to just kind of be like, well, I'm not paying for it, doesn't matter. And I think our group has been different because I've been in peer masterminds or attempted where there's just not buy-in, whereas ours kind of came organically. I think, really purposefully, meeting up. Like I think we all end up meeting each other because we kind of go to the same conferences, but when was the last time we were all together? I can't remember. It's been a while, like all
Peter's
together.
conference, I
My
think.
conference, yeah.
Yeah.
Afterwards,
Oh,
my
yeah.
backyard, yeah. But it's been a while. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think like purposely doing something that, maybe not just, attaching to a conference, but we've talked about maybe like doing like planning a vacation / work thing together, right? So we can all bring our families because, it's hard to always separate from our families. So we've talked about Disney cruises or Greece, like I don't remember, but I think it's just like, executing it. And I think, like Lady was in charge of getting this podcast together. So I think what it takes, and this is just for anything, is like someone's got to kind of decide to organize something, right? To kind of be, I guess, the ringleader, right? So like one of us will have to be like, okay, let's look at our calendars. Let's figure out a time to go. I think Peter, you said you're going on Disney cruise next year. I said we're like, what dates is that? Like maybe we could go and
We
things
vote
like
on that
that.
person
So
right now. I vote Bonnie. You can organize. We need one person. Is that what you're saying, Bonnie? Okay.
I'm happy to.
Volunteer.
I think it'd be really nice for us to purposefully meet
Mhm.
Mhm.
in person. Like I think we're pretty good about meeting, periodically. And like you're really good about organizing that. Like, hey, let's meet up. And there's no like specific cadence. And I think that's also nice. Is like we're not like, oh, we got to meet the third Wednesday of every month, or it's kind of like whenever it feels like it's been a while, we'll kind of end up doing a Zoom call. But yeah, I think that's one thing I would love is to actually meet in person. We're not like, where Peter's not like running a conference, right? Because that's obviously a huge use of his brain time and he's got to focus on that. So whether we just stay a few extra days and like, maybe go to your STR and where is it, by Coachella?
Oh, Indio, yeah. Right. Or one of their STRs, or everybody has something somewhere. But
Puerto
yeah.
Rico.
We're having a thing in Puerto Rico soon. You can all come to.
As
Yeah.
soon as
Oh,
I buy
wait.
our Italian villa.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
I think what I would say about that is that it's not my experience that Leti is the instigator for
Mhm.
our meetups generally, and she kind of has to hunt us down. Like it's not easy. We're not all like, "Hey, sure, yeah, we'll do that." It's like, how about this day? How about this day? How about this day? How about this day? And everybody's going somewhere all the time. Like we all have conferences and things we're going to, so it's not an easy job for you. I've noticed it's most common when, for instance, you or one of us has a significant issue. Like as Peter was saying, like we really come together with like, oh, the stuff's gonna hit the fan right now. Like we're in it, we're deep in it. We need some people who are physicians, who are entrepreneurs, who get what it's like to run a sizable business.
Mhm.
And when stuff hits the fan, because it's like the team or the this or the that. And so Leti, I find, is very good and persistent about getting us together. And then what I think
Even
we could
for
do
this,
better
right?
is, honestly, I think
He's like, are we
just
meeting? We're
schedule it
still
instead
on?
of waiting for every single time like our COO quits or our whatever terrible crisis is going down, and maybe even we could take turns. Like this month you lead, next month I lead, next month, right? Like we could actually do that. And then also I think the in-persons with intention to have a period of it that is mastermindy. And then there will be periods where, because even in my not real, but in my paid masterminds, there's the content, say you're at a thing from 9 to 3 or whatever, 9 to 5, and that is super important. You're there with your notebook and all that stuff. But a lot of the learning comes from sitting by the pool and having a drink at the bar. And so I think we could, for ourselves, do both of those things. We could have some actual content, and we're also really good at the, drink at the bar, and it doesn't have to be alcohol, right? I was at Leti's house yesterday and it was her 2-year-old's birthday and we had cake.
Right.
And also went to the pool.
And the reason we're in Puerto Rico is because of you. And they're
Exactly. Exactly. And you just came to visit, right? So it's like you really do become the average of the 5 people. Before I met you guys, I had my 5 people and we're basically the same person. We're underserved medicine, family medicine faculty members that teach. That's who we are. And we've been best friends for 25 years. And they're still my people, but they don't really understand the kinds of things I have to talk about right now. Right? It's a very different world. And so having you as some of my 5 people, I think, again, that just spending time with people intentionally, the things that Peter happens to talk about, right? Or that you happen to talk about because it's part of your life. It's not like you're trying to teach me all the time. It's just, this is your life. And so, I think structure plus the unstructured time are things that we could take turns doing. And I look forward to doing that. It's going to be super fun.
Peter?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to be intentional about meeting up. That's really what it is. I think we're all busy, and I think everyone, probably everyone in their lives, they've realized that without setting something, especially way up in advance, like it just doesn't happen. I mean, I think like Bonnie's talking about, she's got a conference coming up, and if she doesn't put that date down pretty soon, all of our schedules will be filled up already. I mean,
No,
it's just
there's
the
a
way it
date.
happens. Life happens. Right? Say the date,
What's that date?
right?
What's that date?
March 3 through 6,
There you
2024.
go.
Yeah, I
Good
had
job.
to
We're there.
like I was like,
All
are
right.
you guys free this date? And we don't, not everyone knows their schedule that far in advance, but we knew for sure like you didn't have certain big things that you had responsibilities for. So yeah, that was also part of it too. It's like, okay, finding a date that would work for all of us. And I'm, really hoping that you guys can all make it. So yeah, I think that, so we should probably
I think
talk
it's funny
offline
how
about
Sunny.
September.
Mhm.
I was
like,
just going to
I
say,
don't think
I'm
they're
the
fun.
opposite. Yeah, Peter will be like, I have a conference going on. It starts on Saturday, Sunny. Can you come? Are you going to come? And I'll be like, yeah, I'm just last minute, because my life has had a lot of unforeseeable events, and so I needed flexibility in my life. So when Bonnie's like March, I'm like, I mean, you could create a whole human between now and March of next year. Like, there's no way to actually know what's going to happen during that time.
Just put her on the
frame,
website.
Sure.
Just do it, Bonnie. Put her name on the website. Put her picture. I saw my name and picture on the website you're
I
creating.
know,
and all of a
Kenji, I
sudden
don't
was
have
like,
your headshot. Otherwise, I'm just going to put your picture up there, Sunny.
I'll get it.
Yeah, I'll give you a headshot.
But
and
I
then I'll
wrote
show up.
subject to change.
I know,
Yeah,
I
but
saw
it's
that.
at Miraval. I
Beautiful.
mean, who's not going to want to go to Miraval?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I've learned this, and I think my wife's reminded me of this too, is that like, if you don't set even time with her, like a intentional, like
Yes.
it's just like you got to fit in the cracks, maybe.
Yeah.
But other things keep filling it first. And so I think for us, we've talked about it for a while. I think you're right, Bonnie. I think we got to just like set these dates intentionally. Give me 1 second here, my notifications, but we need to set intentionally like time in advance and block that off. And then that way we can say no to other things. And so,
Well,
yeah, I think
Miraval would be a
that's good
great
thing.
way to extend because you're at a spa resort and it's all inclusive and it's, it's like the perfect,
Done.
backdrop. So maybe we could talk about just adding a few extra days or it's probably better to do it after, right? I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking that we have a mastermind that it was conflicting with Peter's PIMD con, and I was like, oh, we got to rearrange the mastermind, right? Because we're going to PIMD con, so it just gives you a sense of like we make sure that we're at each other's important events to support each other. You guys, we're our affiliates for the first course sale. We didn't have a huge list. You guys made all the difference in the growth and it just, knowing how much of a difference you guys have made in our growth, our trajectory, like, just the loyalty of being there this whole time. It means so much to us and to all of us, I think, to have this relationship where we all started from the beginning and we've all grown and grown some really remarkable businesses over time through each other, helping each other, which is really, really phenomenal and beautiful. So thank you guys so much for your time. This was so amazing. Can each of you maybe tell everyone how they can get a hold of you and find you and learn more about you?
Yeah. All right. So people can find me at Wealthy Mom MD. And so those are all my handles, Instagram, my website, my podcast. So that makes it super easy.
People can find me at empoweringwomenphysicians.com and they can get like free resources and guides and things that I actually do with my clients. They can download them there. I would say most people though know me from my Facebook group. And so that is for women physicians. You have to be a woman identifying physician to get in there. And then I have a podcast of the same name, Empowering Women Physicians.
I mean, you can find me at Passive Income MD, that blog podcast by pretty much the same name. We have some Facebook groups, and of course, there's the conferences that we do, PIMDCon and Leverage and Growth Summit. So look out for those. And yeah, that's it.
And that's where you'll see all of us for sure too. You can find us at semiretiredmd.com, and we do courses, masterminds, and you can find our public Facebook groups as well, semi-retired physicians and semi-retired professionals. Thank you guys so much for your time. This was so much fun, and I can't wait to get texting to you guys later today about other things and all the things we've been going through. It's just really an incredible thing to have all of you in our lives. So thank you.